The neon sign of the Metro diner buzzed faintly, its glow casting shifting colors across the windows as Lily Watson wrapped up her long shift. At 26, she was already used to exhaustion, but tonight her blonde ponytail was a little more frayed than usual after nearly 14 hours of waiting tables and scrubbing counters. The late-night customers had trickled away, leaving behind only the low hum of refrigerators and the occasional whoosh of passing cars outside. For 3 years Lily had worked at the diner, ever since moving to the city with dreams of becoming a nurse. The paycheck was small but just enough to cover rent for her cramped studio and the community college tuition she scraped together semester by semester. Lately, though, her wages had been stretched thinner than ever. Her grandmother's medical bills were stacking up, and Lily sent nearly everything she earned back home to help cover what Medicare couldn't. More often than not, she skipped meals herself to make ends meet. Tonight was no different. She had given away her staff dinner to a co-worker's little boy who had come in hungry, remembering too well what it felt like as a child to watch a parent struggle to put food on the table. She was wiping down the last booth when she noticed someone sitting at the counter, a man she hadn't seen come in. He looked to be in his early 30s, his dark hair hanging to his shoulders, his clothes rumpled and worn like he'd been on the road too long. His expression was tired in a way that went deeper than lack of sleep. "I'm sorry," Lily said softly, stepping closer. "We're already closed. The kitchen shut down an hour ago." The man lifted his gaze, eyes carrying a mix of hunger and embarrassment. "I understand. I was just hoping there might be something left. I haven't eaten in 2 days. Been walking all night looking for someplace open." Something in Lily's chest tightened. She knew the kind of hunger that left your hands trembling and your thoughts clouded. Looking at him, she saw her own struggles reflected back. "What's your name?" she asked gently. "David," he replied. "I'm not asking for charity. I'll work for a meal, or pay you back once I get steady again." She studied him for a moment. His pride was evident, but so was the desperation. Making a decision, Lily set down her rag. "Wait here," she said, disappearing into the back. When she returned, she carried a plate stacked with 2 burgers piled high with lettuce and tomatoes, alongside a heap of golden fries. It was the dinner she had been saving for herself, her only real meal of the day. She placed it in front of him. "This is yours. Don't worry about paying me back. Everyone needs help sometimes." David looked stunned. "I can't take this. You need it." Lily slid onto the stool across from him, her own stomach growling quietly. "David, when you can ease someone else's burden, you should, without expecting anything in return. Please eat." With slow, grateful hands, David began eating, savoring every bite. As the food disappeared, so did some of the weight in his expression, and soon they were talking. He told her he'd once been a software engineer, with a good job and a comfortable apartment. Then his company had gone under. He hadn't been able to find steady work, had lived in his car until it was repossessed weeks ago. "One day I had everything lined up," he said between mouthfuls. "The next it was gone. I never realized how fast life can unravel." Lily nodded knowingly. Most of us live closer to the edge than we want to admit. Sometimes the only thing between us and disaster is someone else's kindness. David studied her. "You sound like you've been through it too." "I'm juggling 2 jobs to pay for school and my grandmother's treatments," she admitted with a small smile. "Some days I don't know how I'll keep going, but I keep believing it's worth it." When the plate was empty, David tried to insist again on repaying her, but Lily shook her head. "All I ask is that when you're in a better place you pass this kindness forward. That's how it grows." His eyes softened, and he nodded solemnly. "I promise, Lily. I'll never forget what you've done for me tonight. Would you like me to rewrite this again but make it more cinematic, like something written for a film scene? Or keep it grounded as a heartfelt short story?" 3 months later, Lily was buried in her nursing board exam prep when her phone rang with a call that would change her future forever. The voice on the line was calm but kind. "Miss Watson, this is Jennifer Mills with the Harrison Foundation. We've received an application for a full scholarship to complete your nursing degree, along with a stipend to cover living expenses. The application was submitted on your behalf by someone who wishes to remain anonymous." Lily's breath caught, her knees trembling beneath her. I don't understand. I never applied for anything like that. Jennifer's tone remained steady. The application included your academic records, employment history, and evidence of your dedication to serving others. Your anonymous sponsor was very clear. You represent exactly the kind of character our foundation wants to support. 2 weeks later, another call came. This time, it was an offer for a paid internship at the city's top hospital, with a guaranteed position waiting once she graduated. Once again, the opportunity had been arranged by someone who refused to be named. It wasn't until 6 months later, at her graduation ceremony, that the truth revealed itself. As Lily crossed the stage to accept her diploma, her eyes scanned the crowd, and then stopped. In the third row sat David, the man she had once shared her last meal with at the diner. But he was no longer the worn-down stranger she had met that night. Dressed sharply in a tailored suit, he carried himself with quiet confidence, the weight of hardship replaced by strength. When their eyes met, he smiled and lifted a hand in a gentle wave. After the ceremony, David approached her holding a bouquet of flowers. His eyes glistened. "Congratulations, Nurse Watson," he said warmly. "I told you I'd never forget what you did for me." Lily blinked in disbelief. "David, you look completely different. And it was you. You were the one behind everything." He nodded. "That night at the diner was a turning point for me. I managed to rebuild my life. I started a new software company focused on healthcare applications, and it took off faster than I ever dreamed. But none of that would have happened if you hadn't reminded me of something more important than success." Her voice softened. "But the scholarship, the job, David, that must have cost so much." His smile faded into a look of sincerity. "Lily, when you gave me your last meal, you didn't just feed me, you gave me back my faith in people. You reminded me that compassion still exists. When I found myself back on solid ground, I knew money only matters when you use it to lift others up. Helping you wasn't charity, it was an investment in the person I already knew you could become." 5 years later, Lily was the head nurse of the pediatric cardiac unit at Children's Hospital, devoting her days to saving young lives. David's company had grown into a leader in healthcare technology, and he had launched a foundation that offered scholarships to underprivileged students who showed exceptional integrity. Through it all, Lily and David remained close. Their bond went beyond friendship. It was rooted in the night when two lives at rock bottom had crossed paths. David often said that Lily's kindness had been the seed from which all his future successes grew. At one of David's foundation galas, Lily stood as the keynote speaker. Facing an audience of donors and scholarship recipients, she took a steady breath before speaking. 5 years ago, I was a waitress struggling to keep my head above water. One night, I gave away my last meal to someone who looked hungrier than me. I thought I was just helping someone survive the night. What I didn't know was that such a small act could set off ripples of kindness far beyond anything I could imagine. That's the thing about generosity, it multiplies. When we lift others, we rise too. When we invest in someone else's future, we often end up shaping our own." Her eyes found David at the head table, his expression glowing with pride, tears brimming in his eyes. Later that evening, as they walked through the hospital together, they paused by the pediatric wing. Children slept peacefully inside, alive thanks to the technology David's company had created and the care Lily's team provided. David gazed at one of the patients, his voice quiet but full of emotion. "You know, Lily," he said, "you didn't just save a starving stranger that night. You saved me. You kept me from losing faith in humanity. Your kindness gave me the strength to rebuild and to try to make a difference." Lily's eyes softened as the weight of his words sank in. They stood together in the quiet corridor, surrounded by living proof of how far one act of kindness could reach. The meal she had given away on that difficult night had been her last at the time, but in truth, it was the first of many. It was the beginning of a friendship that nourished not only their spirits, but countless lives touched by the compassion they chose to share with the world.